In the markets today, chicken farmers who thought they'd get help from the Obama administration but never quite did are now feeling left in the lurch by the Trump administration. It's a story we've been hearing about for some time. Contract chicken farmers who say they're being pushed around by large chicken processing companies, the same companies they work with and on whom they depend for supplies and chicks. Over the last couple of years, some of the regulations put in place to help those farmers have been eased, and in the meantime, conflicts between the two sides have grown. Look for Farmweek coverage in the coming months. The National Milk Producers Federation says it's happy about the House passage of an amendment that would allow dairy producers to hire year-round workers on farms in the H-2A Farm Worker Visa program. Right now, the H-2A program restricts hiring those workers to a temporary or seasonal basis, but an amendment was added to the House version of the 2020 Homeland Security Appropriations Bill. It was added to help farmers already having trouble getting enough help to fill year-round needs for labor. The amended bill will likely be considered on the House floor later this month. Time now for this week's trivia quiz, and it ties right into the dairy industry having so much trouble these days. At the end of World War II, there were about 4.5 million dairy farms in the U.S., some obviously bigger than others. Today's question: about how many dairy farms are there in the U.S. right now? Is the answer 37,000, B, 137,000, C, 268,000, or D, 515,000? We'll have the answer coming up. In the meantime, as you know, weather having a huge impact on crops, especially soybeans and corn, as producers who couldn't plant one consider switching to the other. I asked ag economist Josh Maples, is it a weather market?
Absolutely. This is a weather market for soybeans and corn both right now, especially if you look at the Midwest. Weather has impacted planting progress. We're significantly below average amount of acres planted that we would expect to be at this time of year. And that's really pushing a lot of uncertainty into soybean markets and corn markets too. We thought we knew how many, we have an estimate about how much we think we're going to produce. Slower plantings makes us more uncertain that we're actually going to get to produce that much. And so it's really a supply uncertainty piece. And that's driving markets right now for corn and soybeans especially. If you look here in Mississippi, we've really got the same thing going on. We're facing flood issues in the Delta, and a lot of producers, we're past the point where you can really plant corn. So if they're just now being able to plant, soybeans may be the only option. So you're exactly right. We're in a weather market right now, and that's really driving producer decisions, and it's also driving where our markets are going.
But there are other factors affecting soybeans too, namely the swine fever outbreak in China, and so switching over may not be the best idea, right?
That's a good point. So there's a lot going on in soybeans right now. We've had the tariff concerns with China for ongoing for over a year now, but you brought up a good point with the ASF, the swine fever, and that's really decimating a lot of the hogs in China, and that's really a big piece of why China demands so much soybeans, is because they need to feed all of their hogs. And so this particular outbreak has the potential to decrease the amount of beans China actually needs. So even if we get all the tariffs things worked out, we get a trade deal worked out, it may not be back to the case where China is demanding as many soybeans as they were just a year ago.
So not necessarily a rebound?
Not necessarily a rebound, especially not a quick rebound.
Right. And what effect is weather having on wheat? Analyst Darin Newsom weighed in on that subject.
Wheat is going to act on its own. And what's fascinating is that we just can't get the hard red winter harvest started right now. So it is weather related. It's just like everything else. Weather is the key at this point. I know we kind of got into a little bit of a debate about what does a weather market mean, but we are in weather markets right now. And I guess the point that I was making earlier this week is that they usually don't last all that long, but this one starting in April, May, it's a different beast than what we're usually looking at when it's a 7 to 10 day time frame in the summer when it gets hot and dry. This is something completely different. So yeah, we're in a weather market right now. Basically every grain and oilseed market is being driven by the latest weather forecasts. And it certainly seemed like, as we headed into this weekend, certainly seemed to still be in charge.
Back to the trivia quiz now as we wrap up things in the markets. There were about 4.5 million dairy farms in the U.S. at the end of World War II. Today's question, how many are there now? Is the answer A, 37,000, B, 137,000, C, 268,000, or D, 515,000? Well, the years have not been kind to the dairy industry. According to feedstuffs.com, A is the answer. There are just over 37,000 dairies in the U.S.